Good morning, writers! My name is Elora Gunn, and today I'm going to be talking about my 8 steps to an easy outline. If you are a new or aspiring writer, click that subscribe button below, and also follow me on my socials, and the links are in the description. Let's get started. Finding an outlining method that works for you can be a trial, especially if you're a new writer. You don't have all of that experience behind you, and you haven't tried a bunch of different things yet, so you don't know what works. But you don't have to figure it out alone. The easiest way to create your own method is to try to emulate other people's methods. That's how I figured out my own style of outlining that finally worked for me. So let's go over the steps that I take to create a detailed and complete outline. Step 1, brainstorm. It is exactly what you're expecting. You sit and you think and you imagine and come up with an idea. You might have a line of dialogue that sounds really nice that you like, or you might have a plot twist that you just are itching to put into that book. But this is the time where you get the basic idea kind of solidified in your head. And once you've done that, you move on to step 2, the story in a paragraph. In this step, I will take all of the jumbled brainstorming that I've got in my head, and I will write down everything, the story as complete as I can imagine it from beginning to end. Very simply, in 1 to 2 paragraphs. For an example, if I was writing Goldilocks and 3 Bears, I would, in this part, just put, little girl gets lost in the woods, stumbles upon a cabin, eats and breaks a bunch of stuff that doesn't belong to her, and falls asleep and wakes up and there's bears in the house, so she runs away out of the woods and makes it home safe. The end. And once you've got that basic idea written down, you move on to step 3, let it marinate. Take a day or a week to just sit and essentially brainstorm more. Think about what characters you definitely know you're going to need to have in there, or a side plot that is going to be very important to the main story. And once you've got all of that figured out, you move on to step 4, which is you fill it all in. You take those paragraphs or couple paragraphs and you flesh them out even more. You add in details, you add in names if you've got them. You don't have to have them. You add in anything that you've come up with in the last step. And step 5, you stretch all of that out. This is the part that for me takes the longest, because I'll go and I'll take that paragraph and I'll break it down into chapters. I'll say, in this chapter I need to get from A to B. And then in the next chapter, we need to go from B to C, timeline-wise. I'll put in just a few of my basic ideas of what might happen in those chapters, what could help move the plot along. This part is still just the bare bones. You keep it very simple. You just get what is going to happen in this chapter, and that's it. So again, if we were doing Goldilocks, chapter 1 might be, she wakes up, it's a beautiful day, she decides to go for a walk. As she's walking, she gets distracted by something shiny in the distance, and then by the time she turns around, she's lost. She doesn't know where she's at, and the chapter ends. And then you move on to the next chapter. You do this until you have the entire book finished. You pull from that original paragraph that you were using before, until everything's gone. And then in step 6, you pad it out. You add in more lines of dialogue, you add in side plots or twists or fun little things that you want to add into each particular chapter. You just fill it out more. And once I have all of the details that I know I want for each chapter, I'll move on to step 7, which is more of the same. I stretch it out. I take all of the details that I want in each chapter and I put them in bullet points to kind of give me a this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. I do this so that when I'm writing later, I never have to sit and think, gosh, what's gonna happen next? Because I already know. And once you have done that for all of your chapters, you move on to the very last 8th step. You write the book. What I love the most about this style of outlining is that I know everything that's going to happen. So all I really need to do at that point is create some beautiful prose to go along with the story that I've written. This method works really well for me because it helps keep me on track. I get easily distracted and then I don't finish books. But if I already know where I need to head to, which direction I need to write in, then I don't get lost as easily. And this method is not going to work for everyone, but if you are a writer who gets distracted easily and then loses interest in a book because you've written yourself into a corner, this might be helpful to you. Plus, when you get around to your second draft of your book, it makes it so much easier to add in new plot lines, because you just have to pick a new color font and add it in exactly where you need things to happen in the outline. And then you can go back and just write it into the book. You don't have to wonder where to put it. So give this method a try. At the very least, you'll learn if it works for you or not, or if you can take parts of it and tweak it into something that is more specific to you. It takes time to figure out your own style for writing and outlining, but until you do, it is perfectly okay to emulate other people's styles until you know what you want. So go give it a try, and hopefully it helps you to finish that book that you've been working on. And that's it for this week. Now go get writing, and I'll see you next Thursday with another video with helpful tips.